Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Vertex eSports, and welcome to another round of the Vertex eSports Mixed Bag World Cup. My name is Chaz Draycott, and we are here for the very exciting NASCAR Next Gen machinery to be launched around New Hampshire Motor Speedway. These cars recently announced on iRacing a big change for what NASCAR machinery has been like for a very long time. They've gone from H-pattern 4-speed gearboxes to very quick 5-speed sequential boxes. That's one of the main changes. There's a lot of aerodynamic changes as well. A 2-step front splitter on these things. Different side skirt configurations as well, which stop the effect of all the air down the side of the cars when they are close together. But it's going to be fantastic to see what these drivers make of these cars. We've not got too many drivers out on track this evening. We had quite a lot more promise than this, but unfortunately we've had quite a few people drop out. Got guys in the pit lane, but look at the shape of them. They've got these humongous arches. You can see it there on Aaron Smith's car. Very chunky arches, big back end on it as well. It's thick, you could say. Here's Ivan Bauman's in a Track Velocity Racing 268 machine. The wheels are a lot bigger as well. The wheels used to be 15 inches. They're now 18-inch rims on these cars. We will be able to hear them in a minute when the music shuts up. The music is very loud at the minute, isn't it? But look how chunky these things are. Very thick. The Mustang looks very angry indeed. And they've got a huge diffuser on the back as well, which is the first time that diffusers have ever been used in NASCAR. It looks very GT-like, doesn't it? You can see the vents and things down the sides of those side skirts, and just listen to them. Oh, it's nice of iRacing to make the camera clip through something, isn't it? Just listen. Nearly 9,500 RPM there from Ivan Bauman's. How much like a Batmobile does Ben Kreener's BCR Vertex eSports car look? That's a very angry looking car, isn't it? As Ben goes a little bit too hot there into the final corner. Jason Glenn fastest at the moment, although the car looks like it's been going a bit too fast. Here's like Cedric in the Mustang. That's a really good looking car, isn't it? The Mustang, very beefy indeed. But Brian Crowell's also in a Mustang. Aaron Smith in a Camaro. Don't think we've got any Camrys out there this evening. No Toyota Camrys whatsoever. That's a shame. Oh, as Ben's ripped the front end off his car. What on earth has he done there? Cedric fastest at the moment then. Sounds crazy hearing them change gear so quickly, doesn't it? But they're doing 118 laps tonight, I believe it is. So a nice long race here at New Hampshire. What a gorgeous noise that is. I know that the new machinery has been a very divided opinion in the world of NASCAR. Jason Glenn's got a bit of an issue with his internet at the moment, hasn't he? He needs to sort that out. Here's Aaron Smith in the number 70. Bit of damage on the right hand side and the rear of Aaron's car as well. It looks very second hand. Either that or he's actually put that on the livery himself. If he has, that's quite cool. Makes the car look worn. He's got Alex Cedric behind him. Now patience is going to be the aim of the game around here. Listen to that. It revs so high. It's unbelievable. Oh, as Aaron goes into the wall. And there's still side exit exhausts as well. Both sides they come out of. And I mean, look at the front of it. The way that that black section joins from the front of the Mustang's headlights all the way down. Looks absolutely stunning. Here's Brian Crowell's ending his trusty number 48. into the pops and bangs. But yes, as I was saying, the wheels are a lot bigger on these cars now. 18 inches, these wheels, which for a race car is big. I mean, Formula 1 cars are now running 18-inch wheels, I believe, going forward. And NASCAR used to run 15s, and I think F1 even at a point ran 13-inch wheels. So it makes all the difference. Go back on board with Ben Creaney. Wow, nearly 9,700 RPM there for Ben. Down the front straight, does his best lap, 30.4. Quite overcast conditions here as well in New Hampshire. Look at the speed they build up down there, but you've just got to be so ready to slow it down. Fastest lap of the session for Alex Sedgwick, a 30.099. Creaney tries to improve a little bit more. 30.6, and he's gone way too hot into there, and he's around, and he's in the wall big time. Brian Krause has gone second, only 15 thousandths off that top time set by Sedgwick. And Aaron Smith is having a drifteroo, manages to not quite save it, unfortunately. Into the wall he goes. There's Mark Murphy in the Napa Auto Parts liveried machine as part of Turn 4 Motorsport. The car off on the inside. It's Brian Krause going backwards. We'll look at the gearbox cam, and we're actually going forwards here. Love that from Brian. Let's see what happened here. Oh, he's on the power and he's looped it. And then he just lets it roll. Here comes Mark Murphy. And then that's that for Brian. Back out on track now, though. So too is his teammate Jason Glenn, who was fastest earlier. Still having his blips in and out, though, with his internet. Oh, Creaney in the wall again. Still wringing the neck of this thing. Gets it stopped, just about. Ivan Bauman's back out there. Really iconic livery for the Mustang, isn't it? Blue with the white stripes. Looks brilliant. Although it does make me think Viper GTS. That livery. Because I remember the original Viper GTS were all blue with the two thick white stripes down the middle. I always remember that being one of my favourite cars on the old Gran Turismo games as well. I always tried to save up for a Viper GTS with a ridiculous V10 up front. The V8s in these things, though, I believe they're 6.7 litre V8s. They're humongous engines with a hell of a lot of power. And you can see as well, look at the wing mirrors on the cars. They're actually on the roll cage. Just inside the pillar, I believe. Or at least the one on the left is. Listen to that thing. Pops and bangs are plenty as well. Not even a tenth of a second then, covering the top three at the moment. You can hear Ivan Bauman's been very patient on the throttle round 1 and 2. I'm wondering how high these things do rev, because none of the lights on the dash are lighting up yet when Ivan gets up in the revs. The RPM readout just goes red, pretty much. That's all that comes out from it. Still brilliant to see this machinery being used so early. And don't forget, this is part of the Vertex Mixed Bag World Cup, so these drivers will be getting points for this evening. and that goes towards the entire championship. So the points table at the moment is actually Jason Glenn, championship leader, 1 point ahead of Ben Kriener, who is then 2 points ahead of Aaron Smith, 3 points ahead of Brian Crowles, and then Pete Harrod tied with Justin Nyer. Neither of those two here this evening, so it could get very, very close indeed. You get 1 point for pole position, 2 points for most laps led, 1 point for leading a lap, and if you're the biggest mover in the field, you also get a point as well. So there's plenty up for grabs. This is Aaron Smith then, as the time will tick on down in the session. And he should disappear in just a moment. Look at Aaron trying to just wring the neck of this thing. Those gear changes are savage, aren't they? There you go. Right then. Qualifying will begin. Who's going to be the first car to take to pit road? It looks like it's going to be Brian Crowles, although he's not going anywhere yet. He is the first one to get going though, and will be the first guy to set a lap. Right then. Let's see what Brian can do. The next guy to set the lap will be Ben Kriener. Brian gets his foot down, nearly kisses the wall, and gets on with it then. Nice and patient around turns 1 and 2. You've got to sort of let it go in a little bit deep. Try and maintain it mid-corner. Get on the power as early as possible. Drive it out hard. Now with a small grid, they know that grid position might not matter too much, but they still need to try and get everything out of it. There he goes then across the line. And the first time goes in, it's a 30.207. Kriener at 30.254. Bauman's just crossed the line. Where does he go? I think he's just started. No, it's a 31.1 for Crowles. Sedgwick is going to be next to cross the line and complete his lap. Oh, nearly kisses the wall there. And Sedgwick goes top by just over 1/10 of a second. We've got Ben Kriener who's going to cross the line again. Brian Crowles improves. Does Kriener improve as well? He does not. Vertex Stock Car Cup champion Aaron Smith has had a moment here. Is it going to get away from him on the power? It is. Oh, and it's a big, big moment for Aaron Smith, but manages to... Oh, listen to that. Manages not to hit anything. Jason Glenn back out there then. In the very shiny orange 55, although still blipping in and out. We'll stick with him. We'll put up with him and his internet woes for now. Just so we know where he's going to put the time in. I think he might have kissed the wall there. Maybe just the lag doing that. Seems very patient through turn 1. Really gets his foot down. He's gone second fastest. And he's actually just dumping the clutch there as well. So it looks like that may be the session over already. Look how curved the back end of the cars are as well. You can just see that really big curve there. The slight lip of a rear wing on Alex Sedgwick's car. But he's in. Aaron Smith also in. Jason Glenn on his way in. And Ivan Bauman's sat in his box as well, just behind there somewhere. There he is. I'm pretty sure that will round out qualifying if everybody has done their laps. Sedgwick with a 30.075. Aaron Smith, no time for him. Although it says he's done 0.13 laps. So I'm wondering whether he's not actually completed them, because Jason Glenn's only done 1 and a bit laps. Everybody else has done 2. So Is there a reason Aaron Smith hasn't completed all of his times? Just trying to have a look and see whether he's put anything anywhere, but no. There's nothing obvious to me about it, whether he's done that. But let's have a quick look then and ride on board with Alex Sedgwick, shall we, of when he left the pit lane and gone on with his flying laps. Those changes are just going to be quite alien to a lot of NASCAR drivers. They'll know what they're doing with them, obviously, but just look at the pickup. It's incredible. Alex staying in fifth. You can hear it's not even anti-like because they're naturally aspirated engines, but the engine just spitting out any extra fuel that it's got on the overrun. 9,700 RPM there for Alex. And I've realised that I think the lights in the middle are to do with the pit lane speed limit, not the revs, because he's already got the revs underneath. Just amazing pace on board these things. A little bit of a wiggle, and across the line he goes. 30.08, as it says on the dash as well. Although it doesn't tell us his oil temperature and water temperatures, which I imagine is just because it can't translate all of that info to us. It doesn't want to be doing that on everybody's screen. At the final corner again, and across the line he goes. And it was a beautiful pair of laps by Alex. His last one was the 30.14, although Jason Glenn and Brian Crowles both went quicker at the time than Alex Sedgwick. Now, I thought he was going to go out eventually. Aaron Smith is back out on track now, so this is now live. He's making them all wait, and he's ensuring that we all watch this. So what's his patience going to be like? Oh, not enough. The flaps will come up. Great to see them working like that in the sim, but he's just overdone it again as Aaron Smith, and he's on the escape road down the inside. He's on the road course here, so he's going for a bit of road course driving. Alex Sedgwick actually uploaded a lap the other day from COTA, Circuit of the Americas. Aaron Smith will not be pleased with that, though. Let's have a little look at what happened. This is when he'd already come out. Oh, it's actually not going to show us here, I'm afraid. Let's see if we can get it to just rewind. I know that the sim doesn't like it sometimes, but you'll just see it just starts to go there. As soon as it levels out, it's a big slide and a big tank slapper. Huge moment for Aaron Smith. And he's just creeping around. And actually stopped now at the side of the circuit. And with 2 minutes to go left in qualifying now, I think that will be it. Everybody, although Jason Glenn hasn't completed his full quota of laps, he's only done 1.1 laps. So I think that's what's keeping the session alive at this point. This is Aaron's original off. So he comes out of turn one. It's very much the same again. As soon as it gets to that part of the circuit there, it levels out, goes very sideways. There's a huge tank slapper. It just completely goes around on him, locks up the fronts, locks up the rears. The whole car completely sideways. Churns up a load of the grass, bounces along the infield, sounds amazing getting going again. Takes a chicane. And moves on. So Alex Sedgwick then will be on pole position for round 3 of the Mixed Bag World Cup. Alex is currently 7th in the championship on 113 points, only 14 points off the top spot. So it's all close after the first couple of rounds. I believe there's 8 rounds of the championship, 10 rounds of the championship. One of them is a triple header, which is a Supercars Super Sprint. We're at the UMP modified cars. Okay, this is actually counting as round 4 now. I apologise, because the Rallycross then turned into round 3. 2 and 3. This is now round 4 of the championship, although it's the 3rd meeting, so I'm sure I can be forgiven. We then have round 5, which is the UMP modifieds at Limaland. Then it's 6, 7 and 8 in the Supercars. And they're at Montreal. And then we have the Pro 4 trucks at Crandon. And then the Legacy Lucky Dip, which is all still TBC for the end of the season. This is your grid then. Alex Sedgwick, pole position ahead of Jason Glenn on the front row. Brian Crowles and Ben Kriener make up row 2. Don't forget Jason Glenn, championship leader. Mark Murphy lines up in 5th place ahead of Ivan Bowmans in 6th. And then reigning Vertex Stock Car Cup champion, double champion, Aaron Smith lines up at the back of the pack. Now Jason Glenn's still blinking in and out a bit here, so we need to keep an eye on that. But despite having a small grid, we will still have a very entertaining race, I can tell you that for free. 118 laps for this one, as we wait for Alex Sedgwick to take to the grid. Ben Kriener on the outside in the matte black machine, the number 95 car. He's going to be looking for an early fight with Brian Crowles here. Alex is on the grid now then, and the field can move away once the new iRacing pace car gets a moving. Alex is starting very far down low here, and for some reason looks like he's starting at the back. That's very intriguing. I think he might have given himself an end-of-line penalty. Let me just chuck in the sim and just check. 1 second. Yeah, end-of-line penalty for Alex Sedgwick. So he's put himself to the back of the grid, maybe just to spice up the race a little bit more. So fair play. Brian Crowles then inherits the inside line. So it's him and Jason Glenn, the Track Velocity Racing drivers, on the front row. Ivan Bowmans is in 5th. So 3 of them in the top 5. But then we've got Aaron Smith and Alex Sedgwick starting at the back row. The 2 dancing partners in the Vertex Stock Car Cup. So who's your money on then? Let us know in the chat. Who's your money on in this one? You may not have many to choose from, but it's still quite the choice. The lights are on and they're away. And the first ever next-gen machinery race here on Vertex is underway. Kriener tries to hang it around the outside of the 48 of Brian Crowles. Jason Glenn still blinking in and out. Bowmans, Smith and Sedgwick still right together. Sedgwick's got the best view in the house right now of all of this as Bowmans loses out to him. Goes down the inside, very close. Kriener is in front of Brian Crowles. Jason Glenn blinking in and out in front of him though is not going to make life easy. I think we can all get used to how high these things rev. Sounds fantastic. Brian's gone in a little bit too hot. Look for Mark Murphy down the inside in the number 58 in the Napa machinery. Oh, a bit of a kiss on the wall there from Brian Crowles. And Mark Murphy now down the inside. This will mean that Kriener and Glenn can get away now unless Sedgwick and Smith make moves. Although Bowmans is coming back down the inside of Smith. I say that and he's around. Is it going to bring out the yellow? You'd hope not. It's not come out yet. I think if Bauman's gets going quickly enough. Yeah, we've got no yellow, so they carry on. Oh, and sideways goes Mark Murphy. Does he save it? He does. Not quite sure what happened there, whether he had contact or not. Let's have a look. And down the inside of turn 1. And Murphy's just lit it up on his own. What a great save that is, though. And again as well, the second save, but that means he's a lot further back than he wanted to be. Crowles has now got Sedgwick right behind him now. Brian was one of the guys that worked on Alex's car in the real world Euro NASCAR series. So for Brian to go up against him on the track is brilliant to see, and Brian's very, very quick indeed. And these cars have got some sort of like hatchbacky feel to them because the rear pillars behind the windows go back very far indeed, don't they? Especially from this angle here, they're very hunched over. And look at this at the front, Ben Kriener chasing down Jason Glenn. On lap 5 out of 118. Speeds they do there are just vile, aren't they? Vile, vile speed. I like this camera. It's as if you're at the top of the grandstand watching from all the way up here. Huge crowd here, obviously, virtually. No worrying about social distance with those lot. Not even 3 minutes into the race here. Race should be about an hour. If that. It's about 30 seconds a lap. So if you've got 100, let's round it up to 120 laps, you're talking what? 60. So about an hour for this race. You can see a humongous chunk of rendering there on the right hand side of the screen as they came around that corner. It's been an issue with iRacing for a very long time now, when it doesn't render stuff off screen. It's almost like it doesn't expect it to be there when it turns. Identical lap times from your two leaders. Crowles goes a little bit faster than Sedgwick with a 30.388, but importantly, the pair of them were both quicker than the cars ahead. Seems like the top 4 are the ones with the real momentum at the minute. 5th, 6th and 7th not able to stay with them at this moment in time, but how will that change? How will strategy come into this as well? Aaron Smith did say that they had a practice race and the front right was absolutely cooked by the end of it. So he's interested to see what it's like come the end of the race. You can hear him sort of like playing around with the throttle mid-corner. Listen to all the pops and bangs. Looks like Brian's had a little tiny slide there. Alex is just nipping at his heels. Still not able to do anything yet, is he? Oh, Brian's gone in way too deep, so's Alex. And Brian clips the wall. Wow. That thing looks destroyed on the right rear now, but I imagine it's not too bad. But Alex goes around the outside. Jason Glenn still leads this race. Still blinking in and out, though. Ben Kriener still trying to chase him down. These two are the top in the championship as well, separated by just 1 point. And if you finish first, you get 4 points more than the driver behind you. So Jason Glenn will be opening up that advantage quite a lot in relative terms if he finishes where he is now. I've got huge respect for the guys that do this racing, because you've got to be so patient like this mid-corner and you've got to absolutely have it nailed. With how smooth you have to be, it's so difficult to get it right lap after lap. I really don't know how they do it and how they do it at such great pace with great precision. And some of them do it while looking after tyres, and I just don't get that. I just really don't get how you can do that. It's amazing. We're over a tenth of the way through the race. And the two closest on track are actually your lead pair. Ben Kriener trying to chase Jason Glenn. One in a Camaro, one in a Mustang. Big pop and bang as he lets off the throttle there for Ben Kriener. Alex Sedgwick is 1.8 seconds back, and then Krause is another 1.4 seconds back. I think Brian's had more contact with the wall, has he? That car won't be at its best. It looks worse than it is, I imagine. I mean, their right rear's had a big old crumple. Aaron Smith is then 1.8 seconds back from him. Mark Murphy a further 4.9 seconds back. And then Ivan Bauman's 9 seconds behind him. Real shame for Ivan. But it's a short circuit, so with how spread out it can get in a 7-car race, I still think that traffic may be an issue for some of these boys. But Jason Glenn blinking his way away at the top end of the pile at the moment. Ben Kriener just needs to exercise caution at points and stay patient. And his time will come. But that really is the Batmobile, isn't it? That Chevy looks amazing in all black. They just look so beefy with those rear arches flared out so much. Look at it from the front there. It looks absolutely stunning. So it's Glenn Kriener, Cedric Crowell, Smith, Murphy and Baumans. And your lead pair are the closest two on track, about 0.8 of a second apart. It's flirting between anywhere between half a second and a second over the last few laps. They do start concertinaing up together and then spreading out again as Kriener tries to get on the power as hard as possible. He's keeping quite the gap back to Cedric at this point. Alex is 1.4 seconds behind. He gains the odd 10th on the way into the corner as slide there from Ben again. Still 3/4 of a second, and now Brian Krause has dropped off the back of Alex Sedgwick with that damage, and Aaron Smith is closing in. Here he is. Brian's just where the roll bar is in front there. Glenn jumping up and down the timing screen as he blinks in and out. Aaron just trying to keep his eye on Brian in front. You can see that Brian's just really struggling on the way into the corner. Getting that initial turn in is a nightmare. Now Ben Kriener has lost a bit of time here to Alex Sedgwick, who is closed in. Alex is now within a second of the car in front. Wonder how long the tyres will last on a run here. Now, Kriener is closer to Glenn than Sedgwick is closer to Kriener. And now that switches around as Ben has an early slowdown on the way into the corner and then gets a really good punch off it. This is part of the balancing act of this sort of racing, is that you have to make sure that you choose one or the other. Do you slow it down early and get a good punch out, or do you go in deep and compromise your exit? Behind this as well, we've got Aaron Smith trying to get past Brian Krause. He's right up to the back of him, but on a circuit like this, it's not easy to suddenly change your line and then get moving. Smith gets a really good launch off 1 and 2, though. Down the back straight they go. Doesn't look yet. He's just starting to put a little bit of pressure onto Brian and just assess where he's quicker, try and make life easier. Mark Murphy's been off the circuit and come back on. We'll have a look at that in just a moment. I've got a feel for Brian right now as he gets out of Aaron's way. Let's have a look at what happened to Mark Murphy. Is he just going to lose it on exit? Back on the power. Oh! He was actually slowing it down and loses the back end, but carries on. He's still pushing on in the race, is Mark Murphy, but look at these three at the front. There's Jason Glenn, then Ben Kriener, then Alex Sedgwick. It's getting very, very close between these guys. Keeps looking like Jason Glenn's disappearing. He is blinking in and out. But Kriener is now the filling, the Camaro filling in a Mustang sandwich. Such a great noise. Now you'll see Cedric staying in 5th all the way around the circuit here. Kriener also staying in 5th. Jason Glenn also in 5th. So Alex was saying earlier that sometimes staying in 5th is the safest option. Other times if you change it down, it does want to just spin up all of the time. Now, how quickly can Alex get past Ben Kriener? Can he get past at all? The pair of them have been working together very recently with Vertex simulators. Do head over to Vertex eSports, by the way. If you are intrigued in joining in the championship, you still can. You can do some one-off appearances if you don't want to pay for the whole season. That's vertexesports.com. And if you click enter, you'll get all the options available for the Mixed Bag World Cup. Racing in a number of different cars and track combos. So let us know what you fancy. There's a little bit of something for everybody. We've already had GT3 cars at Imola, Rallycross cars at Iowa last time out. And this is the 3rd meeting of the championship, but actually round 4 because we had 2 races together in the Rallycross meeting at Iowa. Cedric is now down the inside. Kriener doesn't get as good a run off the corner as he would have hoped. And Cedric cleanly through into 2nd position. He's come from the back of the grid. He's now going to be going after Jason Glenn for the overall lead. These guys are some 6 seconds clear of Aaron Smith behind. I think maybe Alex has saved his tyres a little bit early on and now has decided to push them. Now he knows what the life of them is like. He's consistently faster than Ben Kriener. He was 9/10 of a second quicker that time round. Although the sun goes in and suddenly the grip looks very different through 1 and 2. Jason Glenn blinking in and out a bit there. Ivan Bauman's isn't too far up the road now. He's 4.8 seconds off Mark Murphy ahead of him. Oh, Alex gets a little bit sideways there. Are we going to see the life of these tyres start depleting? What a great noise that is from these cars. As I mentioned earlier, the engines, they're 5.8 litre engines, sorry, not 6.7 or 6.8 as I got. 358 cubic inches, naturally aspirated power plants. The usual 3 manufacturers available: Ford, Chevrolet and Toyota. They're all on Goodyear Eagle tyres. And they all run on Sunoco Green E15 race fuel. But the big difference is that sequential box. They've always had H-pattern boxes with quite a slow gear shift to them. As Cedric goes around the outside of Jason Glenn through 3 and 4. He hasn't quite made it work yet, but he's going to get a good run off the corner. I think he might have kissed the wall, but look at the pace difference in a straight line. Chase backs out of it. Cedric goes into the lead, or does he? He does get it done. Listen to that. Sounds phenomenal, doesn't it? really does sound phenomenal. So Cedric leads, Glenn second, Kriener third at the moment. A little bit of a wiggle there from Ben Kriener as we've passed the 15-minute mark here. We're on lap 32 out of 118. Ben's just keeping pace at the moment. 31.9 last time round, so he was quicker than Jason Glenn. Glenn did a 31.8, Ben did a 31.7, Cedric 31.6. 31.8 also from Aaron Smith, just behind. He's hoping to close in a little bit more, although it looks to me like he's gone hot into turns 1 and 2, although that may be the preferred line now. The cars really don't look like they want to go through any of the corners on this circuit. It's quite flat in comparison to a lot of other circuits on the calendar. There's not much banking at all to help the car go around. So they have to rely very heavily on mechanical grip. Let's go on board with Aaron Smith then, your reigning double champion in the Vertex Stock Car Cup. As to the pops and bangs as the car almost limits itself mid-corner. Now he's getting to 9,400 RPM down there. Alex is getting to nearly 9,700 at the end of that straight. That just gives you a little indication as to the pace difference that they're getting off the corner exit. Oh, there's a bit of a slide there for Alex. But even still with that, he's still hitting nearly 9.5, nearly 9.6 at the top end of the revs. Brian Crowell's still nursing that damaged car around. He's probably hoping that they get a soft yellow for just a basic spin or something like that from somebody. But it has not come yet. Listen to that, it's like machine gun fire from the exhausts of his Ford Mustang. Big damage to the right-hand side there. It's such a shame for Brian because he's been so quick in these cars. That was an interesting camera change. It almost looked like an identical shot. Ivan Bauman's has kissed the wall at some point. He's actually got Cedric really close behind him on track. So we're getting to lap traffic now. Here's how they're spread out. You can see just how close together the top three is at this point. Jason Glenn is still within a second of Alex, and then Kriener is about a second and a half off the back of Jason, so the top three only separated by 2.5 seconds at the moment. So it's definitely not spread out by any stretch of the imagination. Love the look of that Camaro. Ben Kriener pushing it to the limits at the minute. Ben's actually been taking part in the Chaz Draycott Media European Touring Car Championship, which starts next Tuesday at Silverstone in the Kia Optima GTS. Alex Cedric is actually signed up for that one as well. And so too is another driver from this series, Kenny Mitchell, in the number 4. He's a regular in Vertex events. Oh, and Ben's just dropped it off the corner, slams on the brakes. Great save. Oh, it's gone the other way. Slams on again. Needs to get going because here comes Aaron Smith. Aaron's going to go flying down the inside. Through he goes. Although he's gone a bit deep into turn 1 now. And Ben is right behind him, but let's have a look what happened to Ben then. So it's just as he gets going again, the rears just light up. And he's got to just try and drop it without spinning them up again, and he does so. It's again just how much power these things have got. It's incredible. And then Aaron's got deep into turn 1, has to back out a little bit. Ben's gone now deep into 1 and 2, is that? Still pushing so hard. Now everybody, other than the bottom two, which is Brian Crowell's and Ivan Bowman's. Ivan's dropped 1 place. Brian Crowell's has dropped 3 places. Aaron Smith has gained 4, but everybody else is actually where they started the race. Now Cedric qualified on pole and started last on the grid, but he's made his way back up since then. So anybody else pitting? Ivan Bauman's has been sat there for 18, 19, 20 seconds now. Brian Crowell's has been in and back out, so he's got a nice, clean, repaired car. I imagine he's got some fuel to go with it as well. Cedric in, and so is Jason Glenn. Will Aaron Smith follow them in as well? No, Aaron's going to do some more laps, he says. See what the pit stops are like then for Alex. As he cruises down pit lane. Still those lights on the dash not working for us, so not sure on that. Alex gets it stopped. Oh, Jason Glenn's missed his box. That's important. Aaron's car goes up on the jacks on the left. Now they're single nut wheels as well, these things. Usually they're what they call 5 lugs, where it's 5 big massive bolts to hold it on. Or nuts, I believe. But now they are just single nuts in the middle. So effectively like quick release wheels. As this is Mark Murphy getting his tyres, lights up the rears and off he goes. And we've got a yellow. We've got a yellow, and I think Alex Cedric is the one that's brought that out. On fresh tyres, Alex making the mistake, and that has surely given Aaron Smith the go-ahead. Oh, he changes it down, and it goes around completely. Jason Glenn goes through. Aaron Smith gets to the scene of the crime, and he's just thinking, oh, brilliant. Thank you very much, Alex. So now what can Aaron do here? Because a lot of them have just pitted. Everyone's pitted between like 40 and 44. Aaron is the only car on track that has not pitted yet. And in he goes. I suppose he doesn't really have much choice because everybody else has pitted just before it came out. And Aaron is now kind of on the back foot, actually, if you think about it. He may still be with the field after this, but obviously they're all bunched up. Jason Glenn leads the way. Smith is second. We're looking at Kriener because he's the next guy that can overtake him. Smith is on his way out now. So he's going to hold on to second place. Cedric is fourth, but behind the pace car. A very interesting iRacing pace car, which looks a lot like an Audi A5 or similar. Got those beautiful Mustangs behind. Jason Glenn on his way in the pits. Maybe a speeding penalty or something. Blinking in and out. Doesn't look like he has any intention of going left, not yet anyway. And he's gradually moving over. He is going back over. Maybe just a top up of fuel. He thinks, you know, it's a small field, so why not? Yeah. Just a top up of fuel by the look of it. So Aaron Smith leads them. from Ben Kriener, who's just behind him, and then Jason Glenn, who's just behind him. Alex Sedgwick is then on the same lap, but ahead of them in the queue. Then it's Brian Crowell's, Mark Murphy, and in that order is actually no, Ivan Bauman's is ahead of Mark Murphy on track, but behind him in terms of the positions. So very intriguing. Shame to see no Toyotas out there this evening. We've got Aaron Smith back in the pits again. Has he been done for speeding? They still look good at slow speeds as well, don't they, these things? Now, I think these guys have been told to go around the pace car. They have. So they're going to go around and join in. The lights are out in the pace car, so they need to get a move on. Or at least I think they are. They are. They are out, so Alex Sedgwick and the boys need to get moving. It now means that Mark Murphy and Ivan Bauman's are back in this. Brian Crowell's is back in it as well. But where's your race leader? There is Jason Glenn just ahead of Ben Kriener at the final corner. And Jason is trying to back it up as much as possible. Aaron Smith is now back with them, and here comes Alex Sedgwick. And they're getting going. Jason Glenn leads them. Ben Kriener hops out to the right-hand side and says, go on then, I'll take that. Aaron Smith looks like he's gone deep into turn one. Sedgwick down the inside. Aaron avoids the wall just about, but loses out to Brian Crowell's as well, who is now in front of him, not just on the road, but in terms of position. And Ben Kriener leads this race. He's got the better of Jason Glenn off turns 1 and 2. And look at that, Crowell's going around the outside of Sedgwick. Sedgwick out of shape down the inside. And Alex is coming onto the pit lane now. So I'm not sure what happened to Alex there, but Kriener ahead of Jason Glenn. That's important for the championship. It may still be early stages this season, but it still matters now. What on earth has caused Alex to be on pit road again? Because I don't know. Gets the car going pretty much instantly. And here comes Ben Kriener out the final corner. Now Brian Crowell's is back in the picture here. He had the damage early on that really chucked him backwards down the field. But now, if he doesn't do this too often, he's in with a shot. Just needs to get past his blinking teammate, Jason Glenn. Ben Kriener started 4th in this race. Now leads the way. It's all about the patience. Maybe a little bit of trail braking there from Brian Crowell to get the car rotated. Jason Glenn's not disappearing. We just can't look at Jason's car, I'm afraid, because with all the blinking and stuff, it's just very, very hard to watch. You can see there he's disappeared, suddenly reappears where he was, and then back in front of Brian Crowell's. So close though. There's such tiny margin for any sort of error as well with these cars, especially with how competitive these drivers are too. They're all so quick. And they're all quite similar pace to one another, hence how the championships have been so feisty. Now Jason Glenn looking down the inside of Ben Kriener, nothing doing yet though. Just gonna have to wait for another opportunity, I think. Near the halfway point of this race, lap 59 will be the halfway mark if you're no good at maths. To be fair, I'm surprised even I could figure that out. Brian Crowell's just trying everything he can to stay with these guys so that when there is an opening, he can just take it and run. But we know how that's not easy. Let's go on board with Brian so he can see what's going on ahead. Aaron Smith isn't too far behind, 2.3 seconds, but then Mark Murphy has got Aaron well in his sights here, actually, in the 58. These two are pretty close together. And look at that, Mark Murphy chucks it down the inside. Lovely stuff from Mark Murphy. Through he goes. Aaron seems to be going very slowly. Last time round he was half a second slower than Mark. What was that? Is this Aaron Smith doing some fuel saving already at the halfway point of the race? Must be. Now then, Kriener. Still trying to hold on ahead of Jason Glenn. Just to just ease on the throttle and open it up. Jason was really closing mid-corner there, wasn't he? But then the trade-off for that is that you really don't close on the corner exit. Kriener just floats away down the straight. Such a fantastic noise here as they rev to nearly 9,800 RPM. It's Crowell's. It's got the best view in the house now so far. Watching the Mustang of his teammate Jason Glenn and of course the Camaro ahead. Alex Sedgwick is in a bit of no man's land at the minute. He's doing decent times though. He's on race pace, like he's on leader's pace at the moment. He did a 30.7 last time round. So he's still going quickly. But he's just a long, long way off the top spot. Now Crowell's has started to drop off a little bit here, unfortunately. Looks like they're always going way too hot, doesn't it, really? We're into the second half of the race now. Lap 60 of 18. The number's right there in front of you, Chaz. Read it. Now, if we look back from Ben Kriener, or dare to, there is Jason Glenn. With Track Velocity Racing. 3 Track Velocity Racing cars in this race. Jason Glenn, Brian Crowell's and Ivan Bauman's. I could never get bored of listening to that. Do say hello if you're in the chat as well, everybody. Let us know what you think. And let us know who you have down to be your race winner. David Van Glabeek in the Facebook chat as well. Good to see you, mate. He's got Sedgwick down to win this one. Or he did have. The difference in pit time, to be fair, I'm not 100% sure it's that much, because honestly, the amount of practice and the incredible pace that these pit crews had on the old 5-lug wheels was just unbelievable. You know, you watch their pit stops and it just scares the life out of you. They're so fast, it's incredible. But I'd imagine there is a pace difference, it's just not massive. Because I suppose they still have to do all 4 wheels. Or at least most of the time they do anyway. Connor Mills in there as well, saying have a good one, lads. Hope to see you back out there at some point too, Connor. Enjoyed watching you in the early stages of the Vertex Stock Car Cup. Some really good races near the front, and of course a race win in the championship. So these two now getting away from Brian Crowell's at this point. Kriener just leads onto the back straight. But Jason Glenn, and that blinking in and out surely must put you off. You'd think that the drivers probably wouldn't care and wouldn't be looking behind them, but honestly, it does make a difference. because it's a car that's just so active in your rear view mirror. Your eyes are just drawn to look at it. So it depends on how often Ben does look in his mirrors. Whether he's even bothered. I know how determined Ben is when he races. Really does focus. There is Brian Crowell's 1.1 seconds off his teammate Jason Glenn now. So that gap in itself is still yo-yoing slightly. Cedric last time round did a 31.3. Karina did a 31.0. Jason Glenn 31.3. Brian Crowell's 31.1. So Crowell's a few tenths of a second a lap quicker than Glenn at the minute. There's the gap from the leaders back. Murphy 7 seconds off the lead last time round. Cedric about 25 seconds off the top spot. Although I believe that's just come down actually, it's just not updated on the timing yet. I think he's 23.2 off the top spot now. It's quite spread out at the minute. Listen to the machine gun fire of these things popping and banging on the overrun into turns 1 and 2. Kriener has cleared off at the front now. Equal gap between Kriener and Glenn compared to the gap of Glenn and Crowells. Mark Murphy in 4th. He had a really good move down the inside of Aaron Smith before that. Let's look at Aaron. Doesn't seem like he's fuel saving anymore. It's just very smooth on the throttle, very close to the wall as well. Not sure if Aaron's just not got the confidence in the car yet or something, but he's just not as usually potent as he would be in others. I'm not sure what it is he's doing there, but listen to that. That's a very, very odd approach. Let's listen to Alex. I'm not sure whether that is a completely different approach by Aaron or whether it's just, I mean, Aaron's in the United States. I'm not sure whether it's a connection thing, like we're not getting the data in as much detail, but oh, we've got a car around. It's Ivan Bauman's. Bauman's is off, and he's in the wall. And he's in the wall hard, and it doesn't look like he can get going, or he does. My car was already damaged at this point, so he might have either had a kiss very early. Oh, he smacked the wall in the exit. The car just didn't want to turn. I'm wondering whether that was because of the damage of whatever he had happened before this. He's actually got going again, and there's no yellow flag, which I'm very surprised at because we had a spin for Alex earlier, although he was in the middle of the road. But then again, early on we had a spin in the middle of the track as well, so intriguing the difference between what brings out a yellow and what doesn't. But here's your race leader, Ben Kriener, looking supreme at the top at the moment, 1.1 seconds ahead of Jason Glenn. The Scots doing very, very well. Ben Scottish himself as well. So it's the two Scots, Brian Crowells, then Mark Murphy. Awesome pace though from Ben Kriener, really impressive so far. I'm very intrigued by this. Let's just listen again. Because you see on the exit there, that sounded smooth at that time, didn't it? Yeah, listen, that's smooth. So he is capable, but it's that. It sounds very strange, because that would spin up most cars if he did that. Mark Murphy's in the pits. in the Napa Auto Parts car, the number 58. Good looking car that as well. Onto the brakes, into his box. Does he go up for tyres? He does. So it's not a scheduled stop as such, but it's a planned one for Mark Murphy. Back down on the ground and away he goes. Now for the first time for a bit, the lead gap has just come under a second here from Ben Creaner back to Jason Glenn. Jason's starting to reel him back in a little bit here. Very, very slowly, but still. Better than not reeling him in at all. Although those blinks are still there. Very much so. I think Ivan Bauman's and a few others will be gutted that there wasn't a yellow flag for that spin earlier. But at the same time, I'm sure he won't be too bothered. It doesn't give anybody else an advantage or a disadvantage. Now we do have to look back here from Ben Creaner because the gap is now 0.7 of a second back to Jason Glenn. It seems like Jason's just been able to turn something on here in the pursuit of Mr. Creaner. I'll show you the battle box live. No, that's not they're not the cars that we want, really, are they? Let's face it. But we don't want that at the same time because you can't read it. So, oh well. We'll go on board with Ben and look back. Now, Jason's made a mess there and lost 2/10. But then Ben got a little wibble wobble on the exit. And that hasn't helped him either. We're getting to lap 80 now with 118. We only have one yellow flag all race. I say that, there you go, there's commentator's curse. Ben has a big slide and through goes Jason Glenn. We saw that wobble from Ben not even a lap ago, and it looked like he was slightly out of shape. That's not the first time he's done that tonight. And he'll be absolutely kicking himself now. He's going to have heated up those rears as well. He needs to try and get back in a rhythm. But Jason Glenn goes past Ben Creaner after this mistake. On the power. Big slide. Nearly catches it as well. And he does hit the wall with the right-hand side of the car, but it's only the tiniest of touches, so I don't imagine it's damaged the car too much, but the gap is now 2.7 seconds, and he's only 1.4 ahead of Brian Crowell, so that's thrown it wide open now. Thank you to those of you that have been watching so far. Please do remember to like any of the videos that you see, and of course subscribe to Vertex eSports. Like the Facebook page if you haven't already. And if you do want to get involved in anything that we're doing here at Vertex, please do make sure that you head over to vertexesports.com and you can enter the Vertex Mixed Bag World Cup. We have a bit of everything for everyone. And you can just do one-off rounds as well if you like. You don't have to pay for a full season or anything. Just do the odd round if you fancy it. We're looking now at Brian Crowell in the number 48, currently in third position. As his teammate Ivan Bauman's closing in on him, showing him just how much of a difference fresh rubber makes. Look at that, the mid-corner speed that Ivan can carry is just unbelievable in comparison. Well, Ivan a lap down, so Brian doesn't need to worry too much about that. That's not a lost position or anything. In terms of the championship at the moment, Brian Crowell sits fourth, only 6 points off the top spot. He's got Aaron Smith, Ben Creaner and Jason Glenn ahead. He's 3 points off the back of Aaron Smith. So being where he is at the moment will close that gap, but not completely get rid of it, as there's a car around. It's Ben Creaner again. Ben Creaner's had a big one. And it's still not brought out the yellow flag. Oh, there you go. It is out. The yellow flag is out. Oh, Ben. He's He's just lit it up again too much. A bit of impatience off turn 2. He nearly caught it. Oh, his mistake was then getting back on the power when it swung to the right, and then that's where the yellow came out because the car was right in the middle of the road. And a real danger to anyone around, just in case they didn't quite judge how the car was moving. So I'm afraid we have our second yellow of the night. Jason Glenn, then your race leader. Brian Crowell's in second place. What's this going to do in terms of a pit party? We're going to get everybody in. Although Jason Glenn's in, Brian's in, Ben, Aaron Smith as well. Anybody else making moves onto pit lane? Doesn't look like it yet. I'm not sure if Alex Cedric will be... No, Alex has carried on. Look, there he goes. As everybody slides into their box. Be able to see from here as well who leaves first, although we won't if Jason Glenn keeps blinking in and out. Looks like it's going to be Jason anyway. It is by quite a margin as well. Jason Glenn gets out ahead. Then we have Brian Crowell, Ben Kriener and Aaron Smith. Mark Murphy making his way round. Cedric also is now in the queue behind the pace car with Ivan Bauman's in front of him. Not sure whether Cedric can come back from this. Either way, it's going to be exciting to see whether he can try. Apparently Aaron Smith has passed Ben Kriener for P3. I think that was just these two playing under the pace car. So we've got a moment to chill here in the Vertex Mixed Bag World Cup. Lap 87 out of 118, nearly at the 50-minute mark in this race. Race length should be about an hour and 5, maybe an hour and 10 now with this yellow flag, but not too long in terms of a NASCAR machinery-based event. Does anybody there still think that Cedric could win this one then? What do you reckon? These things do look fantastic, don't they? Now I'm sure Alex at some point now will get waved around here. Yes, there you go. Ivan Bauman and Alex Cedric get waved around the pace car. Just to the acceleration of these things. Suddenly they're absolutely gone from the field. But does this now mean that they're going to be too far back to get going? Because the lights are out on the pace car. Where is Cedric? And they're only part way around turn 1 of Cedric and Bauman's. So the race is about to get underway. Then we're going to start lap 89. Kenny Mitchell in the chat. Good to see you, mate. Shame you couldn't join us for this evening, buddy, but I hope your son's football game went okay as well. If it was a game anyway, whether it was just training or not, I'm not sure. It did look like the lights were out on the pace car, didn't it? But we do have another one. The lights are definitely out now. So Cedric and Bauman's have very much caught up with the field. Cedric is ahead of Ben Kriener and Mark Murphy. Now let me just check something. Apologies, you'll see this come up now. Okay. Oh, Alex actually threw the caution, I think, by the look of it. So it was almost like a competition caution when Ben had gone around. So it's really spiced it up again here. I just wanted to check the race control messages as well in the sim there, so apologies if that didn't look the cleanest. But side by side at the very front then, here's Jason Glenn and Brian Crowles. Jason puts the hammer down. Ivan Bauman's moves out the way a bit further back. Aaron Smith goes with them. Smith could still win this race, you know. He's not been the consistently fastest driver tonight. Oh, Ben Crean has sent it in hard on turn 1. He's clipped Alex Sedgwick and he's put the two of them around. Oh, I'm not sure whether Alex went round separately, but Ben, big sends. Ben's known for his cutthroat driving style. It certainly earned him some friends in the Chaz Draycott Media European Touring Car Championship, even in the pre-season test. With a little bump and run pass on another guy. Let's have a look here. Launches it down the inside. He loses it himself and then just taps Alex's car with the right rear. And I'm afraid, Ben, that was over-enthusiastic, I think is the phrase there. Now, they are actually all in the same Discord chat as well. I could see them. Let's see how this looked from on board with Alex. So you probably won't see Ben because good old Chaz has got the mirrors blanked out on here. Look at the sudden acceleration of these things. See, Alex sort of gets out of it. There's the tiny tap, and that's all it takes to put him around. Alex plants his foot, knocks it down the gears, and then waits to then get going again. And now he's at the back with what damage? Didn't look like he actually took too much of a hit. Apparently Jason Glenn's had an issue. Maybe just something to do with his connection, but it said that he'd had an issue and he'd come off. Now we've got Alex Sedgwick in the pits after that. Wondering whether there is much damage to that car. It certainly doesn't look like it, does it? Looks very clean, despite the hit in the wall. I think Alex is maybe just going to take a fast repair or something, or at least... Oh, he's getting fresh rubber. So he's actually taking the fresh rubber with the hope of it giving him an advantage right at the end. I'm not sure whether he took a fast repair with that as well, but we will soon see. Here's the rest of your field. So it's Glenn from Crowles, Smith from Murphy. Mark Murphy's been pretty feisty tonight. He's been up there. Definitely in with a chance of still at least winning this. Any one of them could still win it, you know. Alex Sedgwick now on the back of this train, moving ahead of Ivan Bauman's. I think we're going to have a 2-wide restart here, with Jason Glenn at the front of them in the 55. Although they're mainly single file at the moment, so it could be that way around instead. Crean is slowing Sedgwick down a little bit there at the back. Sedgwick looking down his inside just to check that he's not left too much on the table in front. Lights are out in the pace car, so this will be the final time around. They're all going quite high to follow Jason Glenn. Pace car will dip down. And we're off again to start lap 95 here at New Hampshire. It's Glenn from Crowles, from Smith, from Murphy, and then Ben Crean. Murphy's gone in way too hot into turn 1. But it's actually worked for him. He's managed to stick with Aaron Smith as they get on the exit of the corner. This is going to be a real sprint to the flag now. 13 laps to go after this one. All of the pops and bangs. We'll go on board with Alex Cedric a little bit further back. He can see the entire field in front of him, except for Ivan Bauman's behind, who unfortunately now is 2 laps down, maybe even 3 laps down. I think it's 3. Look at the patience required here. Kriener has a little bit of a wiggle. Alex sets up the exit, gets a really good run alongside Ben down the back straight. Ben's there. Alex gets through down the inside. And he's even going to go past, by the look of it, he's going to go past Mark Murphy with that as well. Ben's then surely going to try that move. He's going to try and follow him through. Runs a little bit deep and Cedric gets it stopped nicely. Don't forget Alex on fresh rubber now. Everyone pitted in the middle of the sort of 80s with their laps. And oh yeah, Kenny, they sound fantastic. All the pops and bangs. There's a great noise on the overrun. Look at this. Murphy and Crean are still very, very much glued together. The white Chevy against the black Chevy. Nice stuff down the inside there by Crean to gain the place. And just in front, Aaron Smith's gone very deep. And very soon we'll see Alex Cedric go flying through. I'm not quite sure what it is with Aaron Smith's car, but listen. Ready? Not sure whether he's got pedal issues or something, but the car is making very, very sudden on and off noises. I think that must just be down to the connection, with Aaron being all the way over in the States, in Texas, I believe. As he's gone deep again around there. He's just not got the mid-corner rotation. Jason Glenn still leads this race, but Aaron Smith now loses a place to Mark Murphy and Ben Kriener. We're just about to start lap 100 here with 18 left to go, about 10 minutes of this race left. Kenny still thinks that we've got Cedric for the win. It does definitely sound like a physical throttle issue. You're right, Kenny. That's exactly what it sounds like. It's almost as if it is. It's not letting him do anything smoothly. He did actually take a long time to come back out in qualifying after losing it on the throttle. And it's not like Aaron to not be on pace in a NASCAR car, let's face it. So I am wondering whether it is something like that, whether he's just tried to fix his throttle and then still had issues with it. We'll have a word with him afterwards, or at least we'll try and find out. But Alex Cedric is on the move at the moment, you're right. Cedric for the win. 17 laps to go after this. Oh, a bit of a wiggle on the way into 3 and 4, though. Slightly losing it on the brakes. Manages to collect himself together, though. Get back on the power. But Brian Crowles is very close to the back of his teammate now in second place. The number 48 looked promising early on. Had quite a lot of damage at the middle point of the race. Lost a lot of time. Dropped right to the back of the field. But now he's properly on it again. I think with the splitters and the wider arches on the back, these cars look absolutely incredible. Love them. Look at that from the back. They look so stunning. I think it's the next-gen cars that Rocket League have got as well. For anyone that doesn't know and hasn't seen the incredible news, Rocket League have teamed up with NASCAR and Formula One for some of the cars to be purchasable in-game, as Cedric just sends it down the inside. But Crowell sticks with him. Brian hangs it around the outside. He wants to fight him as hard as possible. Cedric moves over and says thank you. Brian looks back down the inside. He's making him fight for it, so Cedric can't go after his teammate Jason Glenn. Jason, current championship leader at the moment from Ben Kriener. He leads by only 1 point. This will help him out massively if he can finish this far ahead of Ben in this race. 14 laps to go after this. Machine gun fire galore as they go through 1 and 2. Is this going to be the move from Cedric? Goes down the inside of Jason Glenn. Jason blinks in and out a little bit more. Cedric gets the car slowed. Well, Jason gets a really good run on exit, although maybe a bit early on the throttle. Alex tries to go down the inside into turn 1. Can he get it stopped? He can. Up nice and close with the wall there. Look at that. You've got to love that. Just didn't avoid the clipping there, I'm sorry. He's not got away from these Mustangs. I mean, look at them. They look fantastic, don't they? Especially in that orange that Jason Glenn has on the front of his car. Lap 106 with 118. Ben Greener still there in fourth. The top five now as they qualified. Aaron Smith didn't get a time and started at the back of the field. He's overtaken Ivan Bowmans, who is now 2 laps down on these guys. You can just hear the patience on the throttle that they need, though. And once again across the line comes Alex Sedgwick. Brian Crowell's now looking at making a move past Jason Glenn, potentially. Either that or he's just staying put to make sure that Jason gets as many points as possible in the championship, knowing that Ben Kriener is so close to the back of him. He could be the Rosberg in this situation and be a bit of a rear gunner to Jason Glenn. Although you've got to think, is Brian being held up here? I imagine he's probably not too bothered to be finishing third. It's good points for the championship. But Kriener is right there, looking very menacing. Although Alex Sedgwick hasn't actually broken away from these guys, has he? He's still towing them along. So it's not helping Kriener. 9 laps to go after this. Oh, Ben's gone too deep there into turns 1 and 2, I'm afraid. He can get a good slingshot off the corner from it, but that's not going to help him. Such an aggressive looking car, the Chevy Camaro. Really is pretty. The road cars aren't too bad either, it's just not my cup of tea. I mean, I wouldn't turn one down if someone gave me one, but it's not my cup of tea at all. It's just all the gunfire from these things sounds amazing. You've got to love it. You've got to love it. Now Aaron Smith has turned it up here. He was 0.2 quicker than... Actually, no, he was on a very similar lap time compared to Mark Murphy last time. Actually, he was quicker than everybody else ahead of them, though. Murphy was the fastest guy on track last time round, although that's gone backwards now because Ben Kriener was fastest and Mark Murphy was the slowest on track last time round, excluding Ivan Bowmans. It's a good point by Kenny. He thinks that Alex is saving tyres just in case there's another caution. Sorry, I realised that we flicked away from Aaron Smith there, as it looked like he was going to make a move, and he is down the inside of Mark Murphy, but he has to keep it in tight. Loses a bit of momentum, but is he still going to get the run off the corner? Mark Murphy lights up the rears. Aaron Smith goes back up into 5th place. Are we going to see a resurgence now from Aaron Smith? Or is Mark Murphy going to fight him long enough to keep him there? Look at that from Mark. Carries it all the way around the outside. Aaron's out of shape. No! 6 laps to go to the end. Are we going to get a yellow? We're certainly not going to get a yellow car winning the race. And Aaron carries on. No yellow flag. Jason Glenn still stuck in the middle here. That was very close to a yellow flag, but we do not have one. Lap 113 out of 118 now. Jason's still blinking in and out. Hope he can get that sorted. Oh, Brian just needs to be a bit more careful on the throttle there. Just lights up the rears. Now Alex has the lead. I think he's just not pushing too hard. He can manage the pace of the front of the pack now. It's almost like it's his decision how quick the front of the field goes. On the power. It's like a missile in a straight line, isn't it? And then just no turning. You have to be so patient with it. This could get so close at the end. Then we're going to go on to lap 115 now with Alex Sedgwick still at the front of the field. Jason Glenn blinking away behind him. I'm worried in case Jason does try a move here and it goes to pot. Two of them just behind, swapped around there on the timing, but that's just Jason blinking in and out. Alex does still have a bit of damage on that car from the hit earlier with Ben Kriener, but still dragging it around. And he's still on pace with the guys behind him. Lap 116 of 118. Is the boss man going to take a win? He currently sits 7th in the championship with 113 points. Jason Glenn just behind him has 127. Alex will gain 4 points on him. But it's been another strong night for Jason Glenn. I'm a bit gutted we can't look at his car. Not directly anyway. But what a great race this trio has had so far. One more lap to go after this one. Is Brian Crowell's going to try anything at all on his teammate, or is he just going to leave him there for championship points? They've got 3 seconds over Ben Kriener. This is where the sends come in now. Full send onto the final lap we go. Through 3 and 4. Get it pitched in good for the long front straight. Here we go. White flag will be in the air then. Barney, the iRacing flagman, waves it hard. Make sure there's no dust on it at all. Can Jason Glenn do anything about Alex Sedgwick? He's going to save all the tyres for this last run. Looks like he's gone in a little bit too hot for turn 1. And it looks like that gap's already gone. I think that might have been his only chance. He definitely went in hot. And I want to see some clap emojis in chat, everybody. The boss man himself, Alex Sedgwick, rounds turns 3 and 4. And he's going to take the win in the NASCAR Next Gen Machinery at New Hampshire. Well done, Alex Sedgwick. Beautiful drive. Great stuff from Jason Glenn. And Brian Crowell to take 2nd and 3rd. Ben Kriener crosses line 4th. A hard race for him. Mark Murphy is 5th. And Aaron Smith, your Vertex Stock Car Cup champion, double champion, just didn't have an answer for that race, did he? But Alex Sedgwick, your race winner. Brian Crowell gives him a bump of congratulations. I'm sure Jason Glenn will try and do the same. There you go. That's your well done. And I'll turn the volume up for you just so we can hear these burnouts from Alex Sedgwick. Lovely stuff there. Alex Sedgwick takes a glamorous victory. Oh, he's carrying on, or is he? Yep. Oh, he's going to try one of his famous pit entrances, although if he drives too far backwards, he'll get disqualified. No, he's just driving into pits normally. Oh, nice little bit of style at the end there, though, by Alex. Nice stuff. You've got to love a bit of that. Right then, let's bring up your race results, shall we? Alex Sedgwick takes the win then from Jason Glenn, only 6/10 of a second back. Brian Crowell finishes in 3rd with Ben Kriener 4th. Mark Murphy ends up 5th with Aaron Smith 15 seconds off the top spot. Ivan Bauman's rounds out the field in 7th place. A bit of a shame again to have such a small grid, but even still, the guys provided some absolutely excellent racing. And despite having not the worst blinks we've ever seen here in Vertex, but quite a lot of blinking, Jason Glenn, he had a very lively race. Jason, talk us through that one, mate. You must still be pretty chuffed with how that went, really.
Yeah, I mean, the boys said I was blinking, and I said I would get out of the way, but they said it wasn't too bad, so we need to try and figure out what that was. But yeah, I mean, it was good fun. It was good having a wee. They're quite hard to stay following people, and Alex kept making wee mistakes. I kept catching up to him, then I'd make a mistake. But yeah, it was good fun. It's quite a long, hard race, though. It's a lot of concentrating, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I mean, it's good for your championship. You know, you've got plenty of points on the board. You came into this leading the championship from Ben Kriener, and he finished 2 points behind you. Smith didn't have a good night. Brian was behind you as well. The only guy ahead of you was obviously Alex Sedgwick, and I mean, he was 14 points off you going into this, so you know, you've still done a mega job with that. You got a point for pole position anyway. So it's Alex would have got that, I think, for qualifying. I'm not sure whether he'll give you that, but yeah, we'll see. But I mean, what do you make of the cars themselves, though? Because they look phenomenal in comparison, and you know, only someone that's seen a lot of the NASCAR machinery recently will notice the differences, but they certainly aren't subtle differences, I'd say.
No, they're quite big differences. The other kind of cars, if you started getting them a wee bit sideways in a corner, you could kind of catch it, but these, they tend to just go. It's almost like very GT-esque. It just kind of suddenly gives up and then you're away. But you know, you've got a flappy or a sequential box now, so you can bang it up through the gears. So it probably takes a wee bit of the fun of a missed shift on a restart out of it. But yeah, they're very different, but really good fun. They sound great when you're driving them. They sound completely different, and yeah, they look pretty cool. You know, when you're following people, they stand out a lot more as a car or what they are. If you know the Mustangs, the Chevys, you know. Yeah,
they have that sort of rounded but really chunky rear end. You know, the really big rear arches, and I mean, with the diffuser as well, they look phenomenal because the diffuser isn't the full width of the rear, so it's a lovely looking bit of kit. You know, the front's beefed up a bit as well, but you can really see the difference, especially in the Chevrolets. You know, the rear arches, how much they flare out from the size of the doors, and obviously bigger wheels as well. They used to be 15-inch, they're now 18-inch. I'm not too sure on that yet, but much like people with these larger wheels on Formula 1 cars that are coming in. But I mean, you're right with the sound though. You know, the machine gun fire, as I'm calling it, as they pop and bang their heads off on the overrun, it's just amazing. But I'm glad you're enjoying them though, because I mean, I think I'd quite happily broadcast these more often, because what a very exciting car to look at and listen to.
Yeah, well, we never know. I think we're kind of talking about maybe doing one of the track velocity races with these cars, but we just need to watch that space and see what we come up with. But I think it's one of the ones, when the cars were released, they were all sort of just in a base colour. As soon as you see people like yourself go mental with the paint schemes and getting spec maps on them, they just start to look really good. Now Brian's car looks brilliant with that kind of grey and red, and Alex's stands out as well. So I think there's I mean, it's a nice change. I don't think a lot of people were worried that they wouldn't enjoy them, but they're very different. I mean, you can feel it even with we did a wee practice race at Kansas the other day, and as soon as there's 3 or 4 of you around each other, the thing just wants to go sideways mid-corner. So it's really hairy holding on, but no, they're great fun. And you know, I mean, some of the guys don't like these flat tracks, but I quite enjoy them. I find them a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've not got the camber of the corner to help you around, so it certainly does take a bit more out of the driver, but you certainly did a good job of it, Jason. Plenty of points for your championship. Before I let you go, do you want to give anyone a quick shout out, mate?
Yeah, just yourself. Thanks for the broadcast, Alex, for running it. The guys at Track Velocity, Ivan and Brian, who we've done a lot of practice with. I know my dad's watching. Cole and Owen, who sometimes watch the Rallycross the other week, really enjoyed it. Danny, I know she sometimes tries to get in and watch whenever she can. So yeah, just all them.
Love it. That's great to speak to you, mate. And of course, well done tonight, and I hope to speak to you again soon.
Yeah. Catch you later, mate.
Cheers, buddy. Jason Glenn there, finished in 2nd place. And his teammate was right behind him, not all of the way, because he had a bit of a rough ride near the middle. My mate Brian Crowles joins me in the box. Brian, that was topsy-turvy, but a good result in the end.
Yeah, let's not talk about that first half.
It certainly looked a bit scary at points with the damage.
Yeah, I mean, I remember saying to myself, I'm not going to drive like a ... because it's a long race and there's not much drivers.
Yeah.
Actually, I really didn't, but I haven't driven in a pack that much with these new cars, and especially here, when someone comes to the rears or the sides or the front, the car just drastically reacts to it, and I think I just didn't see it coming, and it just got away from me. I tried to steer it out of the wall, but it had a different mind.
Yeah, it could be a bit of a pig like that with cars like this. And I mean, your teammate Jason there was just saying that, you know, once they go, they're a lot harder to save, and they're not quite as fun as the other cars, but they're very sort of, there's a lot more pedigree of race car with them, especially with that sequential box.
Yeah, I think I have to kind of disagree with him on that one. I thoroughly enjoy this car, just because, might be just because how iRacing made them, but the tires act like tires. The drop-off is there, but it's like you would expect, not just turn 1, turn 2, and dead tires.
Yeah.
So it keeps a consistent theme throughout the race, and because of the aero, you get more of a tank slapper than a slide. But no, I really enjoy how these drive. You can drive them really flat out at some points, but then when you're in a pack, they are drastically sketchy to drive.
They certainly look like it, and I mean, this track isn't the easiest place to drive them either, is it really? New Hampshire's quite flat and quite a wide circuit, so you can take a lot of lines, but they can all combat one another when you're in a pack and racing each other.
Yeah, during practice, me and Jace found out that if I'm on the inside of him, he gets drastic understeer coming out of the corner. And New Hampshire is also not one of my favorite tracks at all, because it's flat, and I don't like flat tracks. But it was interesting to have this be the first track that we're racing with the new cars.
Well, hopefully we get to see more of them. Jason said potential that one of these cars could feature in the track velocity racing events going forward, but we'll have to wait and see on that. But before I let you go, Brian, obviously a pleasure to speak to you as ever, but do you want to give anybody a quick shout out?
Yeah, I want to give my teammates a quick shout out. We've been doing this for quite a year now. We've grown a lot in our team. And then the fans, obviously, at home, the guys from Vertex for being our partner. It's been an absolute blast partnering with them and being on this journey.
Love it. Great to speak to you there, Brian. Thank you very much, mate, and I'll see you again very, very soon.
Yes, sir. Have a good evening.
Cheers. And, of course, we have to bring in the boss man, the race winner, came from the back of the field. Obviously not as much work to do as normal in this one, but Alex Cedric joins me in the box. Alex, it looked like even though you got the win, it still kept you on your toes, that race, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I gave myself more than enough work to do to recover. But no, it was good fun. Obviously, it's a new car to everyone. Obviously, it's a big change for a NASCAR stock car and how it drives, and obviously what you need to do to kind of find the most out of it. So it's been fun to kind of learn that and adapt to it, and creates pretty good racing as well. It's a bit more accurate to the real world in terms of the aero effect and how you can kind of manipulate the air around cars, and a lot more accurate with tire management as well, which makes it fun, obviously, through a run to put conserve and obviously use up your stuff when needed to get past people. But yeah, I think kind of 2 full trips through the field to finally get to the lead again towards the end. Obviously, I got a pit penalty and then decided to spin on my own, which was ideal. I pressed the wrong button and killed the car on my wheel, and then it locked up, obviously, when it came back in and grabbed a gear. So not ideal, but we made it. All is good. We won the race. So no, it was a lot of fun. I wasn't sure if Jace was going to be able to get to my bumper. The last couple of laps, I kind of just ran out of tyre as I got to the lead. So good timing. But yeah, no, good fun. Lots of fun.
And obviously the track as well, not the easiest to get around, as the other guys have just said as well, because you don't get that big sort of banking to help you like you would at somewhere like Bristol that gives you that extra turn-in capability.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm good at inflicting pain on people in my track choices and where we go and race scenically. But yeah, it makes it all about obviously how you're driving the car, driving it with your feet, and obviously not burning your tires up in the first 10 laps to gain a big lead or to gain positions, but then losing for the next 20, 30, 40. So a lot more, or a little bit more strategic than usual. And obviously this car's a bit more on edge than the old Gen 6s, where obviously there's a bit less side force, it's a bit more snappy, so you have to kind of keep a bit more on top of it, as you can't quite get the big angles and the big slides and the big saves that you used to be able to.
Yeah, it certainly looks like one of those cars. I mean, I even sort of said it in the driver's briefing without sort of saying that it's like an open wheel car, in the way that it is like an open wheel car, because it's either grippy as hell or suddenly it's gone and you can't save it. Like it seems to catch you out a lot quicker than the Gen 6s, which will sort of they give you a bit of fair warning, don't they, when they're breaking away on the exit of a corner?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all down to obviously how the car's built. Obviously, what the suspension format, the steering format, the Gen 6s are effectively, big drifty tractors. They've got a solid rear end, so it's effectively the same as having a welded diff. Big floaty tires with a massive sidewall, so there's a lot of give and a lot of a lot of give in the tires. Both rear wheels want to slide, and then your steering, you've got a box rather than a rack and pinion, so it's a lot slower and a lot easier to correct because you're not going to overcorrect quite so easily. Whereas with this, much stiffer sidewall, wider tire, and obviously independent rear suspension, and it's a whole different game. Exactly, it's like a single seater. Like I said in the driver's briefing, it's like a big heavy Indy car with a hat on, pretty much. You can get to a degree, but then it will just go, and you don't have that. You can't come back from quite so much of an angle, and you don't have quite so much support in the car. And also, obviously, with a rack and pinion, where you'd correct with the Gen 6 is way too much for this one. So you have to be, kind of inch perfect with your inputs. Otherwise, you're going to go left or right, but neither is the ideal option. It makes it interesting.
Certainly does, and it's been great to watch as well. The sounds they make, all the overrun pops and bangs. Obviously, the gearbox, just the gear changes are savage. It's been really, really interesting to see these cars in action for the first time, and a good combo really with that track, because it was certainly a big challenge for everybody around. But unfortunately, we've reached the end of the broadcast, so it's the usual question of, do you want to give anyone a shout out, mate?
All the usuals as ever. Obviously yourself, everyone racing, everyone watching as well. Obviously it's a little bit smaller grid for this series, but obviously it still provides a pretty entertaining race and plenty of action. So hopefully it was enjoyable to watch, and we'll see you for the next one, which I'm not actually sure where it is.
We've got UMP modified at Limaland, or Limaland. I'm probably saying it wrong, but
fantastic. So something completely different once again, and I have no idea what will happen. So that will be a lot of fun.
I look forward to it as well, mate. Thanks very much for joining me, buddy. I'll see you again very, very soon.
Cool. Cheers. See you later.
Cheers. Alex Sedgwick there, the boss man at Vertex eSports, of course, along with Adam Owen as well, who we don't often get a chance to speak to. Hopefully we can do at some point on stream, but another brilliant evening here in the Vertex Mixed Bag World Cup. Just goes to show that you don't need a big grid to have fun, do you, really? This has been round 4 of the championship. All the thumbnails and titles will get updated because we had 2 and 3 at Rallycross Iowa. But this has been round 4 of the Vertex Mixed Bag World Cup. I've been Chaz Draycott. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Have yourselves a wonderful evening, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time at Limaland. Have a good one.